Bad Nation. Now who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. I say who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. Oh, who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. I say who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. You got that fever? Yeah, yeah, that fever for the flavor. Got that flavor? Yeah, yeah, that flavor for the funk. You got that fever? Yeah, yeah, that fever for the flavor. Got that flavor? Yeah, yeah, that flavor for the funk. I got that fever, my people. See, we not equal, my people. I'm like that dog saint underneath the steeple, my people. Got Drew Brees, he the feature, and our defense the sequel. The D-line and linebackers, man, they coming to reach ya. Make enemies some believers, cause we overachievers. DBs see 50-50 balls and we call them keepers. Y'all can follow this leader, cause Sean Payton will teach ya.
Yo, Saints Talk listeners, what's up? We back. It's another episode of Saints Talk, the official pod of NewOrleans.Football. We're here to talk football today. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. We're gonna get right into it. Nick, tell them how you doing, and we're gonna get started.
I'm still available. I'm still at camp. I'm still out there. I haven't been knocked out yet. So
How's the heat? How does your off-season training activities help you for training camp? Like, you good?
I mean, it seems to be helping me more than some other people. So
those 50-pound dumbbells, they rocking out nice.
Yeah, we're working. Yeah,
Let's go, man. Let's go.
Hey, a lot of the practices have been inside. They've been taking it a little bit easy, maybe. So
they getting soft.
Nah,
take them back to Mississippi.
You know, I think they get better work actually inside. So and they've been inside a lot since.
Yeah, you can probably do a lot more, and guys probably recover faster, and a whole lot of stuff to come with it. Man, it's a lot going on. We're gonna try to dig into all of it. I had to write a list. I usually have a high level understanding of what I want to talk about, but it was so much this pod that I actually just wrote stuff down. So let's get right into it. Saints cornerback Patrick Robertson retires out the blue. Man, what's just give me your thoughts on it? Salary cap implications, anything and everything surrounding that topic.
So, yeah, I mean, this obviously isn't a good thing. It's the thinnest position on the team in some respects, and then you take him out, and you're Crawley. You know, I think there's a possibility that Crawley was maybe going to win that job, maybe push him at least. I think it was a close battle. So,
my next question,
like in a vacuum, losing the one guy because you got the other guy there, I think you're kind of still in the same spot. But I think you have two of the same guy, and then it's a drop and yeah, I think that hurts a lot in terms of depth because now you're Marshon Lattimore gets suspended, Crawley gets hurt, you're Paulson Adebo and a guy nobody's ever heard of starting a cornerback.
Brian Poole.
Yeah. And Brian Poole don't play on the outside, so that
might have to.
That isn't where you want him. So it's Ken Crawley, or I'm sorry, Paulson Adebo and Adonis Alexander or somebody like that. I mean,
Keith Washington's
done. He got hurt. He's
out.
He
got hurt. That's right. So, I mean, he's done.
It's Prince maybe at that spot, but
Haley.
I don't think that he's that's just not the situation you want to be in. So losing depth at that position, I think, is very bad. I think they have to absolutely go do something. I know that they've been active in looking for different cornerbacks. Who's it going to be? We'll see. But him retiring, they get $2 million in cap space, and it's just one of those situations where, it's just very unfortunate that he's not going to be part of the team because that was money they could have used before. But look, you can't hold it against somebody. You get out there and if your heart ain't in it, it ain't in it. If you don't want to be going through camp, you don't want to play, you're putting your health at risk. I mean, you can't. Football in a game, I don't think that you can play when you're just out. You
can't halfway do it.
Yeah.
So you can't halfway do it. Yeah.
It's a tough spot. But
so
here they are.
So I mean, Lattimore, his suspension, his potential. They haven't announced anything yet. It just feels like
I don't think that's coming to start the season. I just don't.
Yeah, that was okay. So that was the point out because it seems like the NFL. The first preseason game is coming up. You would think that they would say, okay, well, we'll give you enough time in advance to be able to address this, right? Instead of just being in the dark. So, hopefully, hopefully Lattimore, can avoid suspension and be out there. A question: how's the rookie doing? Is there any scenario you see that exists? Of course, it exists, but there's been reports when you read training camp reports and tweets that the rookie has looked good at times. But do you think there's a chance that he maybe is starting to compete at that spot at some point in training camp, or you think it's just, that'd be too tall of a hill for him to climb this, to make the starter maybe week 1?
He does some things well. I think there's just some maturation that has to happen. I think he needs
Mm-hmm.
to just settle in and keep getting better and improving. I don't think that's something where they'd feel comfortable with that outcome. I think, P-Rob was the number 1 guy. Crawley's the guy when he goes out. Then it's a Debo. I mean, with P-Rob up there, they're talking about cornerback being a must and trying to find someone to replace him. So you're 3 layers down. So it's not even my opinion. Their actions are just kind of telling you what that is.
Yeah.
And on the Lattimore thing, that's just, I'm guessing it's just kind of like you're looking at the timing and it's like, this hasn't happened yet. When is it going to happen? Is it going to happen by week 1? To me, it feels like if there's like a suspension, like I would guess that it arrives later, and it just doesn't feel like something that's going to happen by week 1. If that's going to be the case, like they need to figure that out. Like,
have they ever done that though? Like just suspended a guy in the middle of the season from something that happened in the off season?
I mean, it can happen. It can happen. It's not usual. It just feels like if this guy was going to get suspended, you'd know. But look, that I might be wrong. I could be completely wrong on that. And it just feels not typical for it to be silent like this for this long. That's all I'm saying. So
yeah.
Before we get to the next thing, we got to shout out our sponsor, BetUS.
Hey.
Bet with the 3-decade leader. BetUS. Join now for 125% bonus or 200% bonus. When you use crypto, use the promo code NOF125 to get that deal. And bet sports, casino, horses, pop culture, and more at betus.com. You bet, you win, you get paid.
BetUS. It didn't even come with a Kevin joke this week.
Nah,
feel good about BetUS.
It's all business. It's all business.
I got murdered last week, man. I was like, ugh, I got to bounce back. I was trying to think of a joke. It was like, it's not coming. So last question on just on the whole P-Rob situation. What did you think? Like, what was your perceived gap between Crawley and P-Rob right before his retirement? Was there like a large gap? Was it clearly P-Rob, or it was pretty?
I thought
close?
Crawley was pushing him. He's been having a pretty good camp. We'll see how that holds up in games. Confidence and all that stuff. I think has kind of been the thing with him. But he's looked really solid in camp. And look, I know everyone wants to make comments about like who the receivers are and all that stuff, but if you're getting your hand on the balls and breaking up passes, I mean, your coverage is good.
You're good enough, right?
Yeah, and I mean, look, it might be a little bit easier to stick with someone that's not running routes as sharply as
Mike
Thomas. Yeah. So that it does play into it, but look, in these one-on-ones, when you're breaking up passes at the rate he is, I mean, you're doing something really well. His coverages look really good.
Yeah,
I haven't really seen him get burnt or beat deep, but
that's the big thing with him.
Like, not sure I've seen anybody really get burned or beat deep because there isn't a lot of stuff happening down the field, and it's kind of been check down city for
both of them,
for everybody. Yeah,
I wonder when.
Yeah, it's not like I keep getting these comments like, "Oh, Taysom's checking down all the time."
Winston is
it's yeah. I think they're both attacking the field kind of the same way. James is actually throwing more passes to running backs than Taysom, but
you think he's overcompensating any there? Like just, or
I think
it's just not there.
I think his decisions have been sound. I haven't seen him. There's been a couple moments where it's like, you're forcing it. But look, I think that there's also an element of maybe that you're analyzing things a little bit differently and more critically because of the unknown factor in these two guys, and they are competing. And it's not like Drew Brees was without fault during training camps. He made mistakes and bad decisions and threw picks. And when Jameis makes a mistake or Taysom makes a mistake, it kind of feels like the weight of the world is on that one thing.
Exactly.
You're analyzing every throw, every series, every play, every day to try to determine who's going ahead. And that it's a tough and probably unfair process. But there's just things in this camp that make it really hard to get a feel for everything because of the attrition and the changeover and. Like they aren't passing down the field today. Is that because of them? Is it because of the wide receivers, or is the secondary dominating? Guys. Traquan Smith's out. Your second team wide receivers are guys that most people probably wouldn't know who they are. Like
team's third or fourth.
It's tough. It's tough, man. It's a tough analysis. They're starting to get familiar with one another. Just need to see him in a preseason game and kind of change the setting and see what kind of happens there.
Yeah. And real quick, like this is such an important position. I just want to make sure we cover everything. With Crawley, you've seen him in training camp before, right? Does he seem like he's maybe having a better camp now than he had? Like, say, what was that year he was good?
It's 17-ish,
2017?
man. It's a 17-ish feel where you were looking at Ken Crowley and be like, man, this guy he's really playing.
Yeah.
He's really playing.
Okay.
The difference is that the other side is 17 now, and you aren't doing
Right.
you're
Yeah.
looking at it and it's not like potential. You know the downsides now. So
Exactly.
that kind of changes how you look at it a little
17,
bit.
he was a legit number 2 corner. Like
His coverage was exceptional.
like
The only
at the
thing was he wasn't picking the ball off. That was
Yep.
the only thing.
Yep. He had and it kind of broke down a little bit in the playoffs. I want to say that was Minnesota that year, but
Yeah.
I mean, playoffs he struggled a little bit, but during the season, man, I mean, he was I was like, oh, they found their number 2. Like, this is him. He's good. So hopefully he regains that form, and you don't need him to be Marshon, right? Because he's not.
I did a study after 17, and like I'm not going to remember the exact numbers, but like his passer rating against was like really good, and there was no interceptions. And I just like was going through, and it's like if you add 4 interceptions, where's he at? And he was like a top like 7 cornerback.
I remember that conversation.
With just like 4 picks, and the picks never came. 18, there was some slide, and it just
quarterback threw it to him. Nah, man, don't be throwing me them picks. Yeah. Don't want it. All right, let's transition. Mike Thomas. Guys, listen. There's an article on the site. Read it. Nick wrote it. We're not going to rehash the entire situation, but like how bad is it? Right. That's like, is it salvageable? Listen. Peyton, sometimes he gets fed up with players, right? Now, if you're good, maybe it takes him a little bit longer, but everyone has a leash, right? And that leash has a length, excuse me. And so, I think winning cures a lot. Being on the field it cures a lot, but I think you're dealing with a personality here, and I just wonder, if things can kind of get back to where they were.
I think the thing that hurts this situation is that there is, kind of the current injury, and I think if like he were playing. Like this situation is just sitting and festering right now.
Yeah.
And there's nothing happening. It's just sitting there, and it's just going to continue to just sit there until something happens to change that. And as it sits there as it is now, it's not a good situation. And look, you guys, I don't care like what you read, whatever. Like if you don't want to listen, you think it's all media spin or whatever, that's fine. But look, if you just boil it down to the basic facts of the situation and take out any commentary at all, sucker punch Chauncey Gardner-Johnson last year, gets suspended. Not good. Like that is not a good thing that happens. That's a bad situation. Comes back, gets hurt.
In season, right?
All that
you
stuff.
got suspended in season, yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff. You get, to this situation, ankle's busted up, skips a doctor's appointment, doesn't get it fixed, shows up, nobody hears from him. Nope.
Right.
He's mandated to come to camp. Shows up, ankles messed up, has to get surgery. Coach calls him out in public in the press conference, says, hey, this should have happened a lot sooner.
Yep.
I'm going to leave it at that. And that was a pretty strong statement. So just those events right there, there's enough negativity there, like to where this thing is clearly like.
You don't need to guess.
Yeah. And then Mike puts out the statement about them trying to ruin his reputation. So,
right.
Okay. You have, just off of Sean's comment and Mike's social media post, like you have 2 people that are at odds with one another, and that's not good. And then there's history before that where
right.
There was some upsetness, upsetting things to both sides. So it's a tough situation where it sits right now. Like, can it get better? Yeah. I mean, I think there's a scenario where it could get better. I think there's a scenario where it doesn't get better either. And it just kind of depends, if nothing happens and he can get back on the field, if somehow nothing transpires and there's nothing that makes it worse, it just stays exactly where it's at. Somehow he gets back on the field, he plays, he starts catching passes, he gets his yards, they're winning games, everything feels good. Maybe that's enough to heal it.
Yeah.
But maybe not. And maybe you don't get to that point. And I think the thing that hurts the situation is that you're at a spot, like I said, where it's just kind of festering and sitting still and it's stagnant, nothing's happening. When's Mike going to play? Nobody can even answer that question with certainty right now.
Right.
It's just nothing's going on. He's working out and rehabbing away from the team. I mean, it's just not it's a tough.
I think that's a problem. I don't think that's.
It could be, it might not be, it could be a problem. It might not be. Maybe the best thing is to give him the leeway to kind of handle it how he wants, give him the trust. Hey, take care of this. Come back when it's good. Like maybe that helps. I
Yeah, but I
don't
just
know.
know, it ain't good when someone on Twitter talking about you.
Oh yeah.
So it's like when you see that person, it's like, it's a problem.
Yeah.
We gotta address this. You say what you said. I'm here. Let me say it again. Right? It's like, is that energy the same, or is it like? So I think that's like a little bit of something that it would be better if it was like you're in a building and, hey, Mike, listen, I don't like what you did. I made it known. I made it known to you, but get healthy, get back on the field, and but you're in SoCal. People filling your head up with your, showing you your records and stuff. And then the coaches, Sean's not going to have it. And I just think I think it makes it worse.
It could. I mean, it's just not a great place to be in this right now. And I mean, I think I think people are naive to kind of just say that everything's going on is fake and media and spin and all that stuff. I think that's naive. I think it's naive. Look, I reported stuff myself, hey, missed the meeting. Nobody knows what's going on. Shows up in June when he's mandated. That was the first time they could look at him when he was mandated to be there.
Exactly.
And it just wasn't what it was supposed to be. And Duncan had the story about 3 months calls, no answer. I mean, that stuff's bad. And look,
I wish I could just not answer my boss's phone calls and texts and stuff for 3 months.
As a reporter, I'll say this: you don't report these kind of stories unless you have bulletproof information, because you're putting your career on the line, essentially. Your whole credibility, all you have in this is your credibility. And on a story like this, you don't take a chance. You aren't reporting off somebody's cousin. It's you know what I mean? And you never do, period. Nobody ever reports off of somebody's cousin.
Right.
But if there's ever a time to take a chance, this is not it. Look, I mean, as someone that does this, I've gotten close to like a lot of stories that would be controversial or whatever, but you don't get that last piece and you just sit on it and it, and it eats at you, but you can't put it out. Something like this, you don't go unless you really feel confident in your sources. And I can't speak for anybody else's process, but as a reporter, I know how this stuff works. And
Mike didn't deny it. He didn't deny nothing. He didn't say I did return their phone calls. He didn't deny the story. He just said, hey. And listen, I mean, I don't doubt that. Hey, Mike, we're close to a championship. Maybe holding off on surgery is, I could. And if he disagreed with that, then maybe he did. Maybe it was a bad decision. So I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
Just the tweets that he's liking, that it maybe played out that way, but that still doesn't mean you get to not answer calls for 3 months, right? And I'm not taking sides here. I just know that if someone employing you can't not answer their calls. As is nothing to do with anything other than that's just not acceptable in any scenario. So I refuse. Look, I haven't talked to him, but I refuse to believe, though, to this point, still with everything that's happened, that Mike was trying to do something malicious. I think that's fair. I
refuse to believe that he didn't want to play. I think and again, I'm guessing. I haven't talked to him. I would love to talk to him about all this stuff. That's just it's just not something that's going to happen. That's just not something that's going to happen for So I wish though that I could, but I mean, look, I think that he probably believed he was getting better and he wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, no, I mean, and Mike cares about records and numbers and stuff, like being on the field.
All that.
Yeah. You can't do that injured. So I don't think that he tried. I just think that it was a bad decision. And like I said, I mean, the Saints, maybe, I don't know the exact story. If they made the wrong call on his ankle last year, then, that's the L, right? But if
I don't
know what.
Look, man, he wanted to play. Like, he wanted to play early in the season.
Yeah,
he didn't want to go on IR.
Yeah,
he came back, played. Yeah. Before the Philly game, he said, "Hey, I'm shutting it down." Boom, he shut it down. He came back for the playoffs. Yeah. Mike tweeted after the season that he was trying to get Breeze a ring.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're actually that's a good point. The actions don't. No, that's fair.
Maybe there's some stuff that happened in there that I don't know about, but I'm just saying the stuff that's been public paints a picture that he
wants to play on the field.
Yeah, and look, that's who he is. He wants to play football, and those same things are why I don't believe that he was trying do the Scottie Pippen. Nah, I'm going to rehab on their time. I just don't think that's in his DNA. I just don't. I just think this got mishandled in a lot of ways. And,
I mean, it goes back to,
I can't defend him though. You got to answer the phone, man. People got to know what's going on.
Exactly. Like, it's so they agree collectively that let's take the conservative approach. Okay. Like the Saints agreed to that.
He was supposed to go back and didn't.
Yeah, he didn't. So, and then he didn't return the phone calls. That's the part that's the only thing in here that you can point at and say, man, that ain't how it goes. Right. That's where he deserves all the criticism in the world. Everything else, I think it could be somewhat subjective. So it's just a bad situation, man. And it's just my opinion. It just doesn't feel like that guy's gonna be a Saint. Like, he's not a Cam Jordan. He doesn't feel like a lifer, and he just, it sucks because he's a really good player. But back when you were productive, it would be worth dealing with that stuff. But it's going to be a year and a half, right, where you haven't been Mike Thomas, and you're not as valuable, because you're not doing it on the field. And that's just how football is. And so hopefully he gets back. He's healthy. He comes back quicker than not. And all this stuff goes away. But
I want to address something though, because I'm seeing it in the chat, and it's been compared to the Delvin Bro thing.
I know, I've been seeing that too. Yeah, I was trying to avoid that.
It's a different medical staff. The doctors have all been replaced since the Bro situation.
Yeah,
those guys were so good at their jobs, they got hired away by other people. They got a new medical staff starting now, and the Mike thing wasn't being handled by team doctors. It was outside independent surgeon.
Yep,
he was seeing somebody that wasn't the Saints team doctors. Look,
yep.
Bo Lowry was the guy overseeing this. Bo Lowry is an exceptional doctor. He got hired by LSU to oversee 300
Everything.
Programs or whatever they have.
Right.
It's a massive job. He is exceptional at his job. He was the lead trainer, lead doctor until he got hired by LSU this
a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and now he's been replaced. So he was so good at his job, he got hired away. I mean, it isn't the Saints team doc. It isn't the same people. It isn't the old regime. Sure, they deserve all that criticism. This new set of doctors, like, they've done a really good job. And again, they were so good at their jobs, they got hired away. And that doesn't, it doesn't mean that there haven't been mistakes along the way or whatever. But they weren't the ones calling the shots on this after the season. That was actually other people.
According to reporting, they recommended surgery, and then they got a second opinion, and then the surgery didn't happen. So if we're being like 100% real about it, right, in this situation only, the Saints doctors made the right call initially, and they, the outside counsel didn't. So I don't think you can put the decision, the Saints doctor says to have the surgery, so you can't blame that on them because it ended up being right. And then that was in February, March, and you have it in June. Like, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know. It's just a bad situation, like, all around, right? And this is
like communication broke down, and it's just, man, I wanted to watch Mike Thomas come out and play like early in the season.
Man, come on, man.
Yeah,
I remember saying,
I like watching great players, man.
I remember saying, Nick, man, where Mike at? Ain't nobody seen Mike. People saying like, oh, Mike's healthy. They talking about Mike healthy, but dudes, I forget, one player was like, yeah, I haven't seen him. I'm like, yeah, you won't. He's not coming.
Can't remember who that was. Yeah, it's one of the rookies or something.
Yeah, someone like that, media training, they ain't got it yet, and they just like, oh yeah, Mike. Oh, who's Mike? I don't know Mike. Ain't no Mike around here. So, but anyway, what about the new Mike? How's he doing?
Who's that?
Callaway, man. New number one. Yeah, he new number one. That's his name, new Mike.
I think he's had a really good camp. Like I've said a few times that I would feel better about him being kind of the guy that's just dominating in practices if there was somebody for him to compete with, and he was like overcoming something. But within the void that he has, he stepped into it, and I think he's done a really good job. He's probably, 2 days ago, I think he was at 15 catches. He's probably like at 18 or 19 now in camp, by far the most. But look, again, I think that's kind of a function of him being by far the best receiver on the team that's available and playing right now. But I do think that he looks better than he did a year ago. There's a confidence in the things he does, the way he moves, the way he's carrying himself. he's doing a really good job. I mean, I don't know if like I'm at the point where it's Callaway 1,000 yards where I'm having those thoughts yet, but
I
is
get,
really
yeah.
the only guy.
Who else gonna get the yards? I mean,
Yeah,
they
I
gotta
mean,
come
really,
from somebody.
is the only guy. He's kind of doing his thing. But look, I'll be interested to see like in the season when he's against an Xavier Howard or that type of
Yeah,
player. When Stephon Gilmore, if they're putting Stephon Gilmore on him when they play the Patriots, can he get open? Can he get yards?
that's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
That's gonna be
So
tough.
we'll see.
Be
That
tough.
those are the tests that you aren't seeing yet. He's not. Like I said before, like you aren't scheming in practice, so it isn't like Marshon shadowing him across the field or anything like that. So
Yeah, yeah,
we'll see when it ramps up what he can do. But I think that he's he's doing a really good job. I think he looks good. He's someone to be. He's one of the guys on offense to be excited about. It's just I feel like it's my responsibility to kind of temper expectations a little bit until we see
hmm
more because I feel like the hype on him's a lot, and
yeah.
we just got to see what's actually real at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I mean, now I get your point about like it would be nice if someone pushed them and maybe a little adversity, but I mean, I mean, this guy's undrafted free agent, man. I'm pretty sure his chip is already, as big as it need to be. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, hopefully I mean, they like
It
it's a
isn't
lot.
so it isn't so much like that though. It's just like, let's see a comparison.
I get it. Yeah, I
Let's see how
get
many
it.
let's
Yeah,
see how many targets you're getting,
I feel you. I
all these
feel
things.
you.
Like, are you actually the best receiver out here, or is it just
Yeah,
by default? Like, those are the things I want to see. And when you have like at least someone to compare it against, you kind of get a little bit more of an idea of like what you're looking at in there's a juxtaposition that, oh, this guy's doing this really well. Like when you have a Marshon Lattimore, you can look at Ken Crawley and tell that Ken Crawley isn't
yeah,
Marshon Lattimore.
yeah.
But when it's the 2015 team and there's just, Brian Dixon and
Yeah. Next subject. Next
whoever else,
subject.
you can get fooled into thinking these guys are better than they are and can't because there just isn't that level
Ain't
of
nobody else
comparison. Yeah,
good.
it's just like,
Ain't
oh
nobody
man, this
else
guy's
good.
so much better than everybody else. But like, oh, the other guys, like, oh, aren't that good. So
Yeah.
that's those are the compare. But look, I know Callaway's good. It's just a matter of like how
How
good
good
actually
is he?
is he right now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Real quick, Deontay's suspension. They still haven't heard anything about that, huh? I know I saw someone bring it up in chat. And that's another one where it's like, man, it would be nice to know sooner than later. But
Those are kind of more like formulaic though, and it's just kind of cut and dry.
I got it. I got it.
DUI,
Yeah,
and I think it's the
pretty
last DVA was
straightforward.
3 games or something. They kind of set it out. So
Okay,
it's just kind of like this happened. Here's
it's
your
coming.
suspension.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
coming. Okay. Um, Lutz, kicker, heard brought a new guy, signed him. How concerning is it?
I think significantly.
Me too. Yeah, it's like a team that may not be as good offensively. I don't know. We just got to see, and now you got a kicker who you don't maybe have as much confidence in. I think, yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, for a team that's probably not going to drive as good as it used to, and have drives stall out, you probably need
A
someone you trust to hit those
solid,
kicks.
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
guy that they brought in, we'll see. I mean, at this point, I don't know actually how many kickers are signed, but a lot of teams probably have 2 right now, and
yeah, yeah.
the guys you're looking at right now are probably like the 50 to 60th best kickers, and that's why they signed a guy that hasn't played in the NFL in a couple of years, and the
2
guy he's working out
years.
against
Yeah,
hasn't played in the NFL for a couple of years. So he'll get
yeah.
first crack on it. Maybe he proves it. I know he has a big leg accuracy was kind of the issue when he was with Dallas.
Yeah,
But if I think it's a situation where you're watching everybody in the league, and
yeah.
you're looking
Hope
at
you
other
look up
teams.
like again. They looked up with Lutz with I think it
Does
was
Baltimore have
Baltimore.
does Baltimore have another kicker? Like
Man,
maybe
somebody, man.
nobody
I
knows
know.
special teams more than Harbaugh. So
Yeah, that's a good point. That's what he was a special team coach, right? Before.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. All right, moving on. Let's get through these topics. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So there's an article on the site, guys. Go read it. NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. Pick a tier. It's a lot of different options there. Get you a shirt, with the little tight sleeves and stuff, make you look bigger than what you are. Nick and them 50-pound dumbbells about to be wearing these little shirts. I can't wait. Yeah. So, as an article on the site, and the crux of it is, the Saints, they want to get better in the screen game, and they want to get better as it pertains to shot plays and deep passes. Go read it, guys. It's a good read. I highly recommend it, as with everything on the site, right? Maybe I'm a little biased, but I remember seeing it sometime from last year, and I remember I've heard it like more times than I would be comfortable with. But it seems like he'll, every once in a while, like one of his deep balls, they just seem like they lack velocity, or velocity is not even the right word for a deep ball, but it's like they coming up short, right? They're being underthrown. And I'm just wondering, is it like an arm strength issue, or is it something where he's not judging the distance correctly? Maybe he's throwing it to receivers he's not familiar with. Like, what do you think? What do you make of that? Maybe it's somewhat recurring thing with Hill and his deep passes.
I think it's probably like sometimes a timing thing with him. They're like a little bit underthrown, and he had feet issue last year where he wasn't getting his feet loaded right quick enough, and he's worked to fix that. So I think that's part of
Yeah.
it. He had one this week. Was it this week? He had
Yesterday.
one that kind of just like it was almost like it like hit something in the air and just like came down. But like it, Sean said after practice that it looked like he wasn't able to get his like legs all the way through because there was some stuff in the pocket happening.
Okay.
So
it's all part of one.
I think with him it's like one of those things because he's worked on so much mechanically. He's rebuilt his body so it's more effective for throwing. I think it's just one of those things where we got to see if he's been able to change that. And I mean, there's other aspects of his game that appear changed. Maybe that's something in the games where you see it come together. He has hit on some deep passes
Yes.
in practice. And
practice. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's keeping it competitive. He really is. I thought Jameis had a chance to run away with it.
I feel like Jameis just doesn't follow up that great day though. It seems like a big day Jameis and like average Jameis. It's like you can't string them together.
I mean, I swear there was a pass today that I was ready to crown him after this pass, and if he would have finished off the 2-minute drive, like I think the Jameis hype would have been like out of this world. He had a Mahomes like throw, pockets collapse, and he steps away from the pressure, spins out towards the left sideline, and just like rifles a pass in 20-yard gain. And it was a straight up beautiful play.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that's like he just won the job off this throw. Like he didn't finish the drive, but look, he got down to the 5. Next play he scrambled. There was another play incomplete, and then I think he was up again. Nothing was open. He threw the ball through the uprights, and I think that was the right decision.
Yeah.
And I like that he made the decision, but it was just like, man, if you had capped this drive, and then unfortunately for him, like I was still like, thinking in my head, like, might be time for Taysom to bulk up and get ready to block, like, because this dude just like he's about to take this because Taysom's first drive was not good.
It's not good, yeah.
Yeah. So then Taysom comes back, hits a 4th down throw, hits a touchdown pass, and it was like his drive superseded Jameis's, and here you are back again where it's just like who's ahead. I have no idea.
How do you handle in a situation like, and I don't know, I'm not there, right? So I don't have any hidden motive with this question, but like for Jameis, right? Like if nothing was there, like for him, he made the right decision in getting rid of the ball. Now they didn't score,
right?
But he still made a plus decision, right? Versus Taysom, the play was there and he made it, right? So how do you judge that? Like does Taysom got the touchdown, Jameis didn't, right? But like he still made the right decision. Like how do you balance that out?
Yeah, I mean, I just felt like Taysom moved the ball easier on his drive overall, and there were some crunch time moments, and he stepped up in these crunch time moments, and it was just situationally, it just felt a little bit more impressive. Like, does it matter? I don't know. Both guys got down the field, and it kind of happened how it happened, and Taysom just had some more style points. And look, that's like some of the stuff you're looking at in these practices. Like I said, it's like so nitpicky and so minor. That you're looking at like really small moments and blowing them up into things. And does it really matter that you had a 4th down pass as opposed to like, you're kind of moving it down for a second and you're chipping away? No, like it doesn't. But when you're kind of looking at it, it's like, he like came through and it's like a 15-yard pass where like Jameis has felt like really like grindy, and it was tenuous until he hit this 20-yard throw, and the drive was about to stall at that moment. And like it's like I said, it's nitpicky, but then Jameis comes back and his next one 4 downs and out. You know what I mean? So that's kind of it's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah, no, I get it. And just a heads up, because I've seen it on like Twitter, and I think I saw it in chat here maybe a couple of times. Like arm strength is different than like regular strength, right? So just because someone is like strong, like Taysom is strong, I'm pretty sure he's stronger than Jameis Winston. He doesn't have a stronger arm than Jameis Winston, but I'm betting he'll beat Jameis Winston in an arm wrestling contest.
Yeah.
Right. So don't associate arm strength with, hey, my body can physically lift more weight than this person, right? It's a totally different thing. Like you don't see quarterbacks like jacked up, and there's a reason for that, right? Like the guys that I don't know, this kid from Buffalo may have the strongest arm ever. like I've seen him throw on TV, and it's like I don't even think it's fair. Like the way the ball comes out of this dude's hands, it's insane, right? But I mean, I'm pretty sure the dude ain't bench pressing 300 pounds. You're right. I have a weak arm in football. You're absolutely right, Jordy.
Angry
Hey.
So good question here. Is my evaluation being based on exactly what's being presented or tinted with the potential of his legs? I factor in nothing of Taysom's legs because I only look at what I'm looking at in practice. And
Yeah.
look, one of the things that's most annoying about this thing is like they have the two most polarizing quarterbacks, I think, in the
In the
NFL.
NFL.
Yeah, and if they aren't 1 and 2, like they're in the top 3,
Top
4, or 5.
yeah.
And there's extremely strong hives. And man, every time I tweet something about the one, I get people telling me like I'm biased towards this person or that person. My take is that like they're running even, and like every other day I'm praising the other guy. And that's it. Like seriously, every day you read these practice reports, like James was good today. And then Taysom came back today, and that's just how it goes, and it's just been that way. Look, forced to pick one. You got, I think Jameis has probably had the 3 or 4 best practices out of the 2 if you lay them all out and you just put them on the table and say what were the best practices.
Yeah.
I bet at least 3 of the top 4 are Jameis and maybe all 4.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's how you make the decision or not. I mean, they've both been similarly, up and down. I think the person that's with the second team, I think part of the problem with the up and down nature is that, it's 2 days on with the first, 2 days on with the second.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that second team, like the drop off and the guys you're throwing to is steep. I mean, it is steep. Like
Was
the
it the
guys that are
first day
running
for Taysom with the first team today?
was it what?
Was today's Taysom first day with the first team? It feels like whoever playing with the first team plays better. That's just what I don't know. I've been trying to get a feel for it. I'm like, okay, whoever's with the first team seems to be having more success. But
James had an incredible day with the second team at one point though. So
yeah, okay.
But that's Traquan was still available then, and it's just kind of look.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like the guys with the second team are like, in most camps, for the Saints, they'd be the guys, playing in that 4th preseason game.
Yeah, because they don't usually have deep receivers anyway. So the guys on the second team is not,
But when you
Mike Thomas,
Emmanuel Sanders, Traquan Smith on the field,
it's not easier to
yeah. The guys with the second team are Callaway and
not Callaway's your number 1 guy.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So let's move on. Just real quick. Talk about what you're seeing at tight end. I know you mentioned Juwan Johnson. I saw some tweets going up about him today. So just talk about what you're seeing from him. And, Troutman obviously is another guy that's competing there. And Vanette is another guy. And I think Wolf is the 4th one. So, yeah, just what are you seeing from that position?
Yeah, straight up at this point, I think it's probably pretty fair to say that Juwan Johnson might be like the most exciting guy.
At tight end?
Like, man, he's one of the most exciting guys in camp. Like straight up, like dude's got 4 touchdowns in 2 days. Like he's really coming into his own.
Wow.
At linebacker or at tight end. I'm sorry, and his frame. He's just kind of like dominating. And then this 2-minute offense, you just get him on a linebacker, and there's nothing anybody can do. Like you can't.
Yeah. He's a wide receiver, man.
He's a wide receiver that bulked up to 240. And he's still running fast, and he's gigantic. And you can just.
How tall is he?
6'3", I think, maybe taller. Maybe he's probably taller than that.
Okay.
Look it up while I'm talking. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Look it up while you're talking.
But
go ahead.
Yeah, he's a tall guy, but he's dominating in these practices in his role. In the 2-minute today, he goes up, jumps over Chase Hansen on a seam route, and just pulls the ball down, and it's a touchdown. And he's just not someone that's easy to cover. And again, he's a wide receiver being matched up on linebacker. So look, game situation, maybe he gets put on a safety. Can he still separate from a safety?
Yeah.
Get open on a safety? Those are things he has to prove. Can he block
Different
well?
ball game, yeah.
From what we've seen, he looks good blocking. There was a drill today, one-on-one tight ends against linebackers. He held his own in that. He looks willing to block, which I think is a huge
half the battle.
Yeah, it's half the battle. So
Yeah.
if he can do that, I honestly think that there's, Troutman's still the number one guy. Like, he's still good. He's got his highlights and all that. But, I think that there's very realistically a role for Juwan Johnson to do some stuff in the passing game on this team. And at this point, look, he's got to prove it through the preseason games that none of this is fake or anything. But like, at this point, I'd be surprised, like, if he isn't getting some snaps on offense, like, when it actually matters.
I mean, it's not like a bunch of guys behind him neither. So I just looked it up. He's 6'4". So
6'4".
I mean, his wife, she's taking care of him, man, in the off season, man. So
Yeah.
he's got like all the support he needs at home, Oh man, that's funny. Okay. All right. So let's move over to the other side of the ball. We've already discussed what's going on at cornerback. Let's talk about the D-line. So
let me hold up. Let me just put it like this: if they drafted Juwan Johnson, like,
then it would be
this was like his first camp, like, the hype would be, out of this world. Like, he's been
Jimmy Graham has been reincarnated and do Juwan
he's been
Johnson.
that good. Like, I don't know. We'll see if it's real. But like, his camp performances have been like consistently really, really good.
Okay, man. All right. Well, we shall see this weekend.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's a familiarity factor where factor fiction comes, out in these preseason games. So
it's big time. I don't even trust them, to be honest with you. I need to see it in regular season. I need to see it in regular season.
Well, yeah. I mean, but like, there's just camp heroes that come out in the wash once.
Yeah, that's
like
fair, that's
like
fair.
Emmanuel Butler is an example of one that was, and that was real. Like, I was hearing from people, like, I was in New England, and like, people were so excited about this dude, like, they were hitting me up just to tell me about him.
Wow.
And
I mean, Zach Strief went on the record about him. He was like, this guy, and then he didn't make the roster.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know where. It's not making fun of, but I don't know where he is now. It's just crazy how, like you said, some of these guys sizzle out. So, yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, he's good. I mean, if with the situation at wide receiver with Mike's injury and Deontay being suspended, if your next best wide receiver is a tight end, then
yep,
that's Sean can make that work. And he's done some 12 before, and I'm pretty sure that that'd be something that he looked at. So I don't think it's ideal, but it would be, it's an option there. All right, so Peyton Turner limped off the field today. Was there any update? Coach Peyton, he doesn't give updates on injuries. I don't even know why I asked.
I was looking. I don't know yet.
Okay.
Pete Werner's out with right leg injury, not considered serious, but probably gonna be sidelined for a little bit.
Oh man, it sucks that the first two picks are. It's like every year. It's like rookies get hurt, and then it's like, oh, the development got slowed. So, how was Peyton Turner doing before he left practice today? Just camp as a whole, not just today.
Yeah, every day, real good. I mean, he's been playing really well, coming together. I think it's coming together quickly for him, and I think you see a level of, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but a level of development that was maybe unexpected coming in to the camp. I think he's still like, there's plenty of room, and I think there's plenty of work that needs to be done. But I think his starting point is higher than I expected it to be. And
I see.
You just kind of see him setting people up and stacking pass rush moves and combos and doing things at a level of understanding and fundamentally sound nature that I think is beyond what you saw in evaluating his college tape from Houston. So some of the stuff he's doing, and he's at times getting by Teron Armstead. So I think I think he's doing some things right, and I think the early signs are good with him. Again, I think that there's a level of development that needs to be that needs to come still, but he's at a starting point that I think everyone feels really good about.
Yeah, the floor just got raised. The floor is a little bit higher than maybe what it was perceived to be. All right. How is the other highly spoken about defensive end doing this camp?
Who's that?
You know, I'm not gonna call him by his nickname because I don't believe in it. Marcus Davenport.
I don't even like talking about him, man.
All
Like
right, next
I
subject.
got to
Next
see it in
subject.
September, but man,
We're just talking
he has
training, just training camp. We're just talking training camp here, man. These takes are 1.5
look,
weeks.
he has a lot of plays where you notice him.
Okay.
You can't not notice him. In his rate of plays where you're forced to notice him, or
Pretty high.
yeah, maybe Carl Granderson's the only other defensive lineman that has popped more, but like Carl's rushing against like
James Hurst and
yeah,
Ethan Greenwich.
yeah,
And yeah.
yeah.
No
So
offense to those guys.
we'll see
Obviously.
if it's real, but man, he's in the backfield a lot. Look, we'll see in
Yeah.
September, but man, he's in the backfield a lot right now. And
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I didn't like he is having a lot of he's having a lot of plays where you
He's
notice
having
him.
a hell of a
Yes.
camp so far, basically. I mean, I think it's hard for those, and you taught me this. It's hard for those guys to stand up because say if you can't hit the quarterback, so you got to pull up early, right? And so that's it's hard to rush that way. I can't imagine you beating the guy. You can't beat a guy around the edge as much because you know that you're going to be right in the quarterback, and you just can't allow that to happen. So these situations and these practices tend to favor the defensive line, right? I mean, I'm sorry, favor the offensive line, knowing that the quarterback on some level they just can't go all out, right? You can't even touch his helmet. You can't touch his shoulder pads.
To some degree, yeah. I mean, it on the same token though, like an offensive lineman isn't necessarily like able to kill the guy across from him at the same level because like it's not 100%
I got you.
full physicality.
Okay,
but there's something to someone winning all the time, and it's just kind of
has he won against like Armstead and Ramczyk and
I mean, he's usually rushing against the first team line. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to
and like the days when like Ethan Greenidge is up with the first,
killing him,
it's a feeding fest, and that's what you want to see.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah. I mean, look, it's never been a question about his talent, his athletic ability, anything like that. It's can he keep his head in it when it matters and
stay healthy. Yeah.
And that's where you got to see it. And
yeah,
him showing out in practices isn't unexpected. And
I think it's good though because that's the first step to getting where he needs to get. It's just a step in the in the journey, right? And
starting right's going to help you finish right.
Yeah, and I don't think he hasn't been this good in previous years in practice and training camp, etc. So it's just a good early sign. We're not declaring anything finished or nothing. It's just an update on the player. I've asked about a lot of players today. All right. I haven't heard anything, and I hate to say this because I don't think it's fair to the player, but like, how's Marcus Williams looking? I just haven't heard anything about him or Malcolm, like as far as safeties.
They really aren't throwing deep.
Okay, so it's kind of hard for those guys to stand up because they're that far back. Okay,
like the ball's just not in the air like that. So
okay.
Malcolm's look good. He's crashed on. He impacted a play to Callaway today. Callaway was kind of coming over the middle on a crossing route, charge down. Callaway kind of saw him coming and dropped the ball.
He didn't want that, huh?
Yeah, he's I think Malcolm's been active. Marcus is a few times, when there's the opportunity to crash down and make a play. But I mean, in general, like things just really aren't very often getting to the safeties. It's just kind of been that kind of camp.
Okay, well that means that the linebackers are the next line of defense other than the cornerback. So if you had to score the Bond versus Werner competition, and we know Quan, my guess is Quan is the guy that's probably leading right now. They're probably, if he was fully healthy, he definitely probably
he's the guy you have to overcome.
Yeah, he's the guy you got to overcome. Good, well put. But if you just comparing those two guys, Bond and Werner, who would you say is ahead right now?
Yeah, I think it's Werner. I think that's kind of clear.
Yeah.
And before the injury, we'll see how that affects things, or if he comes back exactly the same, if it's slow or anything like that. You made an interesting point though, because like, look, a lot of camps, like it can be hard to notice the linebackers because like things are going down the field, and sometimes you have to watch them.
Yeah.
The nature of this camp though has been like where you've noticed the linebackers consistently because where the passes are going,
where
it's
they
in
are.
their area to cover,
Yeah.
and you're seeing them move to the ball, make plays, and when you're the person wrapping someone up, like you notice who's making that play.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can go through a camp and just be like, man, I don't feel like I saw the linebacker. Like, what did he do today?
I see.
And
Yeah.
that's not been the nature of this camp. And
Okay.
you see a lot of the linebackers, but out of Andrew Dowell's in that mix too. And I don't think he's someone that should be overlooked. And
Yeah.
he's moved up. He got some first team reps 2 days ago, and he was making plays. He was up a second team today. I mean, because there's a million injuries. Yeah.
Right.
So he's still making plays. Like, that guy is explosive. It's going to be tough for him to make the team just because of the sheer numbers. But he's good. He's a good prospect. Yeah.
Okay.
But,
Yeah. I finally got to see what the guy looked like on the website. I think it was a few days ago they interviewed him and he got to talk. I was like, okay, it's not just a nameless face anymore, right? So, or face's name, excuse me. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, this preseason game, it's kind of one of the more interesting off seasons. Like before, it was like, okay, you know what Marshon is, you kind of know what Jack Rabbit is, DeMario, Cam. You kind of just had a good feel for the offensive line. You kind of knew Mike Thomas, who he was, and et cetera. Emmanuel Sanders was someone we spent a lot of attention to last year. Drew's deep ball. There were these like, I know, man, the 60-yard pass and stuff. Right? It was just like, it was such a bad time, man. It was so boring, but in a good way. I remember me and you talking. It was just like nothing. It's like not exciting, but I guess that's a good thing. But yeah, and so now it's like it's a lot. Who's the wide receiver? Who's the tight end? Who's the quarterback?
It's weird, man. Because
like defensive tackle, who's the linebacker? Who's the corner? It's questions everywhere.
I think Drew maybe even didn't really have a great camp last year in retrospect. But when like a guy like that is pick any year, like a guy like that, when he's having a bad day or a bad stretch, you just assume that the defense is really good. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything at all. Patrick Mahomes, you see a report, he throws 3 picks in one practice, and I think that actually happened recently. At least I think it was 2 or 3.
Yeah,
you just scroll by, you don't think anything of it. Jameis has 3 picks through this camp, and every single one like creates like an visceral reaction of like, enjoy that. Here you go, 3 picks.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Drew having multiple interception days. Drew had those, right?
Yeah, Drew had practices where he threw that many in a practice.
Right,
3 picks in 11 days of camp is a pretty good number, and every single one is just like this huge reaction, and it's just hard not to like. Maybe the defense is just taking away the deep ball, and like maybe someone else won't. Like there's a really good player back there that was worth the franchise tag. Maybe that has something to do with it, and we'll find out like when it gets into it. But it's just it's just hard not to react to every single little thing and wonder what every little thing means.
Yeah, I mean, I know typically how I view, and Drew even said this. He said that, I will attempt a pass in training camp that I won't attempt in a game. I'm not sure.
No, they can't.
That they can't attempt in the game.
They can't do that right now. Like I think you have to approach it differently.
That's what. And that's the point I was getting at. Like Jameis, when you looking at his decision making, you're looking at it with a fine-tooth comb. Like this, who you is. This is who you are. This is your playing personality, right? You're not experimenting in training camp. You're being the same player. And I think the fact that he has so few, I think it says a lot. And I think it's an asset to what, maybe some of the things that he's overcome. Right.
Yeah. And I think, the people evaluating this too, that they're probably, I'm sure everything's being nitpicked at a different degree than it ever has been. And
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't think that Jameis or Taysom can really afford to be like, what, let's run this play. Let me see if I can fit the ball in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Drew
kind of today was an example of that. Like, maybe Breeze takes a chance down from the 5-yard line because look, it's practice and you're in the red zone and can you fit a ball in between these 2 guys? Yeah,
yeah.
Like I don't think Jameis can do that because if he throws a pick, they're looking at him like, what are you doing? So
right.
I think there would almost have to be like specifically a period where they'd have to be like, look, we want you to get the ball to this.
Let it fly.
Yeah. Let's see what you can do.
I can see Jameis like, finally. I've been waiting. Where's Bruce Arians when you need him, man?
It's weird though. Like I think like once you get into games, like both of these guys will probably be a little less tight. Like once they know, like Sean, hey, you got this. Like we aren't gonna go away. Like just
Yeah,
play.
yeah. You think Sean got a shot play called "No Risk It, No Biscuit"?
Nah.
Oh man, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, with Drew, like if you see Drew do something that's like a bad decision, like I say, we would just ignore it. And in Drew's case, before he even gets to the sideline, he's probably already corrected it and moved on. Right? He knows what he did. He knows where he messed up. He, put it in his photographic memory that he has, and he's moving on to the next thing. You just can't. These guys, they don't have that. They don't have that privilege, and so it definitely makes sense that you evaluate what you see with them. So, yeah, it makes sense. All right, guys. Well, that's it, man. That's all we got. We covered a lot. Before we go, since we touched on every other position of an offensive line, actually, you know what? How's Cesar Ruiz doing?
I think he's been good, man. I think he gave up a sack the other day. I'm pretty sure it was an inside rush. And he was Davenport stunned it over. I think it was him.
Okay.
Those are things that are again they're really hard to tell. Like the line when you don't have the view. Like
yeah, you told me.
Yeah, so you're guessing a lot. So I kind of ignored a little bit. I haven't really seen him give up too much. It's easier to see when a tackle's given something up because it's straight off the edge. But look, sometimes some stuff gets stuck in the wash. And he's playing on the right side, and we're on the left.
I see. So you don't have like
sideline.
No
Yeah.
view.
So he's usually across the field, and you can't kind of. So you're guessing, but in one-on-ones and other situations, he looks better.
Okay.
I'm cautiously optimistic about what he's going to be.
Okay. And what about DT?
Defensive tackle? They're better at that spot than I thought they were going to.
I thought because I was like, bring in somebody.
Yeah. Look, I don't know if it's like where you want it to be minus Onyemata, but I think it's good enough to maybe survive for a little until he gets there. And if it's not, you can always bring in someone later. There's still some guys out there, but I think that position's better and maybe a little bit deeper than expected. Ringo's look good. I think he's probably someone that's going to make the team. I think Malcolm Roach is.
So Ringo's a 3-tech, right?
Yeah, so I think he'd be in that spot, and I think Roach will probably be the nose.
Okay.
I think he's kind of stepped up into that and looks better than he did a year ago. And he had a pretty good camp, and I thought he flashed at times as a rookie. It looks like he's playing better than he did a year ago. Shy Tuttle, I'd probably have him behind Ringo at this point. Maybe that changes in training camp, but he started out ahead, and it looks like he's kind of gotten passed up a little bit. And then depending on how deep they go, there's like guys like Albert Huggins that look decent. Josiah Bronson. He's looked good at times. So I mean, I think there's more players there than I expected. And look, I think linebacker who
Thompson, isn't there a Thompson?
Bryce Thompson, he's a safety.
I thought it was another. I'm forgetting about a defensive tackle. Okay, yeah, I'll think of him. Next spot.
But yeah, look, I think that's a spot that's deeper than expected, and I think that linebacker top to bottom is much better, and including Quan in that statement. I think it's much better than expected. Like I think there was a point in time where it felt like if they have DeMario and these other, like, who are the other people? Like I think the other guys have kind of really answered the bell. To a point that's encouraging depth wise, and I think for the future.
That's good to hear. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how like linebacker was just. I mean, at times it was like second need, biggest need, depending on. I mean, reasonable people had different opinions on it, right? And no one was right about it. Now it seems like
I think if they didn't have like Werner in that mix, it'd be a little scary.
Because Quan is a little. You got to see it, and then Bond is
So when you put Quan and Pete Werner on top of like what they have, I think it becomes like
Dow, Bond, those other guys.
Yeah, Chase Hansen. I think it becomes a good
Caden Ellis.
Yeah. Caden Ellis has had a good camp, man.
Really?
He's
Sam. He's a Sam though. Noah Spence is a Sam now. Does he still rush the passer in, or is he just?
Yeah, he does. He moves down. He moves down.
Okay.
Nickel, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's some interesting things. It's a lot of guys. Like I feel like this preseason game, on some level, you're going to be in the third quarter, and it's still going to be guys. Like I know there's been times when I would look at preseason game in this fourth quarter, and I'm like, yeah, Nick didn't even tell me this guy existed. We don't talk about him. Who is he, right? And I feel like that may not be the case as much here. Last question before the pod, and this is really the last question. I haven't heard anything about Onyemata. Is he just, you don't got to worry about him? He's fine.
No, he's looking good. He had some plays today. He just
Okay.
kind of does his thing. I feel like they're kind of letting some of the other guys get
I got
more
it.
reps just to find out what they have and get them ready for the season because he's
Makes
going
sense.
to miss 6 games. He got in the fight today, so he's ready.
He's good.
Yeah, he's ready.
He's ready to start.
Without him to start his fight, and he's ready to go.
Yeah, he's good to go. He's good to go. Well, hopefully next time, hopefully we'll keep an eye on the cornerback market. I see everyone is talking about corner in chat. I do read you guys in chat. So if that happens, then I can promise you that Nick will write about it probably before it happens or somewhere at or around that time. So there's only one way to stay updated on all the Saints news, right?
Yeah, get these signups. Let's get these signups up. Keep them coming. Keep them coming.
That's
everybody
the way to
that's
do
new
it.
in camp, we love you. Everybody that's still to come, we love you. Everybody that's already in, we love you more than everybody else.
Right. And everyone that's thinking about signing up, we'll love you when you sign up. Oh man, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, guys. All right. So as we're saying, we're joking about it. We have fun with it, but just go to NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. Sign up. There's a lot of content there. You wrote, I think there's 2 articles dropped today. I think 2 dropped yesterday. I mean, I'm telling you, man. Sometimes I have problems keeping up. Ain't no such thing as too much content. So go there, peep it, support Nick, support his family. That's how my man pay his bills. He got this beautiful, second most beautiful dog I've ever seen.
Ah, come on, man. Number 1, top dog of the world.
Yeah, I got a little guy myself who's number 1. But yeah, man, we appreciate all you guys' support. We appreciate you guys showing up to the pods live again. I always say it, keep saying it, it's different when people are there live and you're getting some feedback. So thank you guys for all the support. Thank you guys for all the DMs. Thank you guys for all the tweets you send me. I try to respond to them all. If I don't respond, then I try to like it to acknowledge the tweet. I'm working like 20 hours a day, so just work with the boys. So everybody be good, everybody be safe, everybody mask up, keep your family and your friends safe. And with that said, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week. We out.